Australia isn't just big, it's outrageous. Watch the map carefully, because in the next few seconds, we'll zoom into places scientists still struggle to explain. And fact number 17, it will make you question if Australia is even real. Let's explore 30 geography facts that are absolutely insane. Fact number 1, Australia is moving fast. The entire continent shifts north by 7 centimeters every year. In one lifetime, that's over 5 meters. Old GPS systems are now more than 1.5 meters inaccurate because the land literally isn't where it used to be. Australia is drifting toward Asia like it's late for an appointment. Fact number 2, Australia has a cattle ranch bigger than Israel. Anna Creek Station covers 23,000 square kilometers, larger than Slovenia, Kuwait, and even Belgium. Workers use helicopters and planes to check livestock because driving across it would take days. One ranch bigger than entire countries. Fact 3. Australia holds the longest straight railroad on Earth. The Trans-Australian Railway runs dead straight for 478 kilometers across the Nullarbor Plain. No bends, no turns, just endless flat nothingness. Some train operators even reported hallucinations from the monotony. Fact 4. 70% of Australians have never seen snow. Snow falls regularly on less than 1% of the continent. Most Aussies live along warm coastal cities like Sydney and Brisbane, while the snowy Australian Alps feel like a different world. Christmas here happens on the beach. Fact 5. Australia has the world's longest fence, the Dingo Fence, stretching 5,614 kilometers. It's not built for people, but to keep dingoes away from sheep farms. Fence riders patrol on motorbikes and horseback, repairing damage from storms, floods, and wandering kangaroos. Fact 6. Lake Hillier is bright bubblegum pink, and scientists still don't fully know why. The color stays even when you scoop the water into a bottle. The leading theory involves specialized bacteria and algae, but the exact mix remains a mystery. It looks like nature spilled strawberry milk across the island. Fact 7. Australia has over 10,000 beaches. Visiting a new one every day would take 27 years. Many are untouched and rarely visited, while most Australians live near a handful of crowded city beaches. The coastline stretches an unbelievable 25,760 kilometers. Fact 8. The Great Barrier Reef is so massive it's visible from space. Stretching 2,300 kilometers, it's the largest living structure on Earth, but nearly half its coral has died since 1995. We're watching a natural wonder disappear in real time. Fact 9. Australia sits on its own isolated tectonic plate. That isolation is why its wildlife evolved into species found nowhere else. Kangaroos, koalas, platypuses, Tasmanian devils. The entire continent became an evolutionary laboratory. Fact 10. Mount Nameless isn't on official maps, and locals prefer it that way. Standing 1,128 meters tall, it's basically a mountain made of iron ore worth billions. Many fear that formally recognizing it would lead to mining, so it remains a ghost mountain hiding in plain sight. Fact 11. Australia is wider than the Moon. The Moon is 3,400 kilometers across. Australia spans 4,000 kilometers, a country wider than a celestial body. Fact number 12. Tasmania has the cleanest air on Earth. Winds blow straight from Antarctica without passing over major landmasses, delivering some of the purest air ever measured. Scientists use Tasmania as a baseline for global air quality. Fact number 13. Australia has more camels than Egypt, over 1.2 million of them. Introduced in the 1840s, they thrived in the outback and are now considered some of the best in the world. Australia even exports camels back to the Middle East. Fact 14. Beneath Australia lies the Great Artesian Basin, one of the largest freshwater reserves on Earth. It holds enough water to fill Sydney Harbour 130,000 times. Without it, much of inland Australia would be uninhabitable. Fact 15. Fraser Island is the world's largest sand island, and it has a rainforest growing on top of pure sand. Scientists say it shouldn't be possible, yet trees thrive thanks to a thin layer of organic material built up over thousands of years. Fact 16. Australia's deserts receive more solar energy than any comparable area on Earth. The solar potential of the Australian outback is almost incomprehensible. If you covered just 1% of Australia with solar panels, you could power the entire planet. The Simpson Desert alone receives enough sunlight to generate several times Australia's total energy needs. It's an untapped power plant the size of a country. Fact 17. Ball's Pyramid is a volcanic remnant that juts 562 meters straight out of the ocean, and it's home to the rarest insect on Earth. This jagged spear of rock, located 20 kilometers from Lord Howe Island, looks like something from a fantasy novel. In 2001, scientists discovered a population of Lord Howe Island stick insects living on a single shrub on a tiny ledge. These insects were thought extinct for 80 years. Fewer than 30 individuals survived on this nightmare tower in the middle of the ocean. Fact 18. The Nullarbor Plain contains the longest sea cliffs in the world, stretching 200 kilometers in an unbroken line. The Bunda Cliffs drop 60 to 120 meters straight into the Southern Ocean. Stand at the edge and you'll see nothing but cliff, ocean, and horizon. The scale is so vast it breaks your sense of distance. It feels like standing at the edge of the world. Fact 19. Australia is the driest inhabited continent on Earth. Only Antarctica is drier, and nobody lives there permanently. 70% of Australia receives less than 500 millimeters of rain annually. The continent's interior is so parched that some weather stations have recorded zero rainfall for years at a time. Yet 25 million people call this sunburnt country home. Fact 20. There are more than 500 national parks in Australia, and some of them have no roads, no trails, and no infrastructure whatsoever. They exist in pure wilderness, accessible only by helicopter or multi-day hikes through terrain that hasn't changed in millennia. These parks aren't for tourists. They're refuges for ecosystems that exist nowhere else, preserved in their original state. Fact 21. Uluru isn't just a big rock. It's a massive underground mountain with most of its mass hidden beneath the surface. The visible portion rises 348 meters, but geologists estimate it extends up to 2.5 kilometers underground. What we see is just the tip. The rest is buried in the red earth, an ancient monolith older than complex life on Earth. Fact 22. Australia has pink lakes, blue lakes, and even a lake that changes color based on the season. Lake McDonald shifts from pink to blue to white depending on salt concentration, algae levels, and water depth. It's not subtle. The colors are vivid, alien, and absolutely real. Photographers flock here because pictures look photoshopped even when they're not. Fact 23. The Kimberley region experiences tides so extreme they create horizontal waterfalls. At Talbot Bay, tidal variations of up to 10 meters force massive volumes of water through narrow gorges. The water piles up on one side, creating a temporary waterfall that flows sideways. When the tide reverses, the waterfall switches direction. Physics becomes spectacle twice a day. Fact 24. Australia's outback contains more than 300,000 wild horses, called brumbies, descended from animals brought by European settlers. They roam in massive herds across terrain so harsh that rounding them up is nearly impossible. Some are protected as heritage animals, others are culled as pests. The debate rages on while the herds multiply, untouchable in their vast wilderness. Fact 25. Shark Bay in Western Australia has the largest seagrass meadows on Earth. These underwater prairies cover 4,000 square kilometers and produce massive amounts of oxygen. They're also home to stromayolites, living fossils that are among Earth's oldest life forms. These bacterial mounds look like rocks but represent biology that's been continuous for 3.5 billion years. You're looking at what Earth's first life looked like.
Fact 26. The MacDonnell Ranges in Central Australia are the eroded remnants of mountains that once rivaled the Himalayas. These ancient peaks formed 800 million years ago and were worn down by time itself. What remains are red ridges and gorges cutting through the desert, fossil echoes of mountains that scraped the sky when Earth was young. Fact 27. Australia has a town located entirely underground. Coober Pedy in South Australia is the opal capital of the world. And the heat is so extreme that residents built homes inside old mine shafts. Churches, hotels, and even a golf course exist underground. The course has no grass, uses oil-soaked sand for greens, and players carry a piece of turf to hit from. It's desert golf evolved to absurdity. Fact 28. Lake Eyre is Australia's largest lake, but it's dry most of the time. It sits 15 meters below sea level and only fills a few times per century when massive rains flood the interior. When it fills, it becomes a temporary ocean in the desert, attracting millions of birds from across the continent. Then it evaporates, leaving a salt crust so white it burns your eyes. Fact 29. Australia's Northern Territory has more saltwater crocodiles than any other place on Earth. These prehistoric predators grow up to 7 meters long and can live for over 70 years. They've remained virtually unchanged for 200 million years because evolution looked at them and said, "You're perfect." In some rivers, they outnumber people by ridiculous margins. The water belongs to them. Fact 30. Australia is home to the longest fence ever built for pest control, the second longest fence in the world, and some of the strictest biosecurity laws on the planet. Why? Because the continent's geographic isolation created an ecosystem so unique that invasive species can cause apocalyptic damage. A single cane toad, one rabbit, a handful of foxes. Each introduction has had cascading, catastrophic effects. Australia isn't just protecting its land. It's protecting an evolutionary experiment that's been running undisturbed for 40 million years. 30 facts, one impossible continent. Australia doesn't play by Earth's rules. It's drier than it should be, stranger than it has any right to be, and more extreme than anywhere else humans call home. If you learned something insane today, hit that subscribe button, because geography this wild deserves to be shared.